What's up, good
It's
people?
so hard. I love every time we play it.
Every time, bro. Every time. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Trying to take advantage of the ending weeks of summer before, school ramps up again. Or it starts to get cold. Really, is what I get nervous about. I like this heat, so I'm trying to do it.
Yeah. I saw you was in the D. What was that energy like?
Oh, I love Detroit, man. Detroit is one of my favorite cities in this country, and just so much love. We were opening up our student serving office there, and so we got to cut the ribbon, and there was just so much love and so much energy. We had a DJ there. The DJ was killing it. It was like noon, and the DJ was like, it was like a club that way.
Yeah.
It was so dope.
Appreciate that invite, yo. One thing I can say about G gonna send you an invite. Steve isn't.
You want to travel to Detroit anytime you want?
Hey, I love the D, yo. The D is anytime I get an opportunity to go to Detroit, it's always gonna be a part.
That's right. What up, Doe?
Yeah. G, what up, man? You got an event coming up. Tell the people what's up.
Hey, man, I'm good, bro. Things are going well, man. We just started our all staff professional development. First day was yesterday, so we have everybody from grades 5 through 12 and our central team. We're all together, 120 of us, which is crazy. It's a big number. And we have our ribbon cutting for our new high school building on September 10th. And we're getting ready for that. It's been a busy summer, but it's been good, man.
That's what's up, man. Congrats. Congrats. Yeah, love to see it.
You got staff in the building. It's just students now that haven't been in, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So dope.
So, man, this is heavy. So as soon as you dropped it in the chat, I'm like, man, we gotta do a show on this. I think this is like the second one that I can remember. These dear colleague letters that are now called DCLs, right? And so today, folks, we are not unpacking the backpack today. We are unpacking a federal document which is somehow heavier than anything that could ever be in a backpack all 13 years of your schooling. And so, Steve, starting with you, man, what were your thoughts when you first saw this? You're like, oh, they added it again. What's up?
It's weird, right? Because this, as someone who has sort of lived a lifetime of hearing folks on the right talk about a hands-off government, a government that doesn't sort of reach into the lives of communities in an obtrusive way. These dear colleague letters have been super interesting to me because they have been, I think, some of the most strongest government overreach I've ever seen. I want to say overreach I've ever seen, right? Being like, this is our interpretation of this. This is what we think you should do. And so when I saw this one, particularly when it dealt with the discipline of students and knowing just how strongly the data talks about how different populations of students disproportionately impacted by school discipline, this one sort of hit really personal to me. Like, it's like, ooh, this feels different in that it is a like telling schools what discipline should look like if you want to continue to receive federal funding, and then very specifically telling them that they're not allowed to take into account the trends of the data that they're seeing about how different populations are disproportionately impacted by that discipline. So I immediately want to talk to the two people who ran schools. Is like, what do y'all think about this?
Yeah. So I appreciate you bringing it to our attention. G, what were your thoughts, man, when he threw it in the chat?
I was shocked and upset, but not surprised that they would. This seems like the natural evolution of the ways that this Department of Education administration is like thinking about how to kind of operationalize what the federal government believes about race-based policies or And just as somebody who has to complete the CDRC data requests on suspensions and information on an annual basis, like to spend that much time completing that information so that the federal government can make decisions that they can pass down to states to support students in schools, and then for them to just completely ignore that information, like is like a slap in the face to all the administrators who are trying to do right by kids. And so that's just frustrating. So I'm glad I stopped filling that out a couple years ago.
You're
it's someone else's waste of time now.
The authorizer and the liaison, they're gonna hate me because we ain't doing that shit. Because it doesn't make sense. Like, why would you do it if you're not gonna use the data? Like before, it was like it's a cumbersome, it's such a cumbersome thing to have to do. Yeah. And then to know that the data is not going to be extrapolated to be used in order to help benefit marginalized communities, which is, you know, what it's kind of like what. So think about it, right? It's like you're giving carte blanche to white suburban school districts to just do whatever the hell they want. And then for those that don't care about marginalized kids, you're also telling them that they can do whatever the hell they want too. Yeah. We used to use this data as a way to say, and it's the same thing with standardized testing. We use this data to say, hey, there's disparities in regards to funding. And so therefore, certain school districts need more than other school districts. But if you're saying, hey, we don't care about that, we don't, you know, it speaks to that overreach that Steve was talking about. And it's like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I get, and so like, I don't know much about what you have to report. That's not been my life. I don't know how these things have been had to use in the past. But what I read this about was like, there is a deep literature that talks about implicit bias and how it impacts many decisions and many actions that happen in schools, in businesses. And so there's a deep literature about implicit bias. And this fundamentally feels like it's saying like, nah, man, that doesn't exist. Don't ignore that. Yeah. Don't worry about implicit bias, right? It's not a thing. And it's like, how do you tell me things that I have seen and witnessed with my eyes, and there is a deep literature about is not a thing, right? Like, like that
doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. And that's why there's this assault on an educated electorate, bro. It's like that's why it is a all unripe assault on people that have intellectual capabilities to be able to say that's BS. They don't. I don't know. And so
because I think just one last thing, because I think they are well attuned to implicit bias when it impacts the communities they're trying to protect.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what gets me nervous about this, right? They talk all about the implicit bias against conservative ideology at higher education. I've heard that for years. It has become stronger and stronger. And right. And so like, man, are they well attuned to implicit bias when it meets their needs? Yeah. But not here. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm hot.
This is nasty. It's a lot to unpack, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the microscope didn't disappear, but the lens changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that like when you say like, well, I'm not filling paperwork out, like both there's like it's a waste of time, but potentially it could be a detriment in the opposite direction. Right? Like maybe I'm glad they're not using the data, right? Because I don't want them to use the data for bad.
Right.
I mean, that's one way of looking at it.
That's true. But I mean, I think even looking at that from a different perspective, it signals, it's setting a precedent, I think. I don't know if it's not the only letter or ruling or recommendation that's setting this precedent, but it's continuing to signal to school districts that like systemic inequalities that we can observe will continue to be ignored as long as as long as the policy language appears to be neutral, like on paper, right? Like if you're trying to kind of make the case that like, oh, by removing any kind of race-based language, you're upholding civil rights because you're trying to make everything neutral. It's the same as saying you don't see color, and when actually, like, while race is a construct, so many things funnel through as like a waterfall as a result of people's perceptions about race and white supremacy in the United States. And so I think that like this is just going to be another way that the language is being used as like it's being weaponized against vulnerable communities behind the veneer of like neutrality, which I think is messed up.
Yeah.
Chaotic evil.
It's a little bit more than messed up, but I guess the concern that I have, like overall, is similar to Project 2025. It's like, how many people are reading this? How many people care about it because they feel, or don't care about it because they don't feel like it directly impacts them, right? Because like if you don't have kids in schools, then what do you have to worry about this, right? And so I don't know what we can do as a collective in order to get folks to care again.
Well, and it's this rationalization that only intent matters, not impact.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, if only intent matters, and that's the only thing we're allowed to call out, it requires mind reading. Right? Like I have to find a way to read your thoughts to figure out if you are actually intentionally biased in this way, right? Rather than saying, okay, regardless of intent, the impact on the person was, right, a real bias against who they were, right? And so like that, it takes it out of the real and tangible and into the theoretical in a way that feels awkward to me, because impact doesn't matter, only intent. And in a world like that, then everything's game, because your defense is, well, that's not what I meant.
Yeah. Bro, think about it, right? Basically, the federal government is saying, bring me the receipts, then bring me the group chat.
Yeah. Almost bring me the Signal group chat, and then we'll ignore the Signal group chat.
Yeah.
You want me to believe it? Bring me the Signal group chat. So in looking at the old standards, right? So this new standard and guidance, we got only intentional discrimination violates Title VI. The disparities in outcomes standing alone are not enough. Wow. so there's a lot, man.
Yeah.
And I hate to be the person that goes to that, absurd extension of this argument, but what does that mean for students with disabilities ultimately? Like, do we not worry about, students who have special needs or like, at what point do we start to sort of like, can they use, this is the same rationale they can use to take away support for accommodations, for wraparound services for students who have, like, this feels like the first domino in a series of dominoes that is going to put a lot of communities that require incremental support in order to be successful at the disadvantage that we saw in the 40s.
You got roll body.
Mm-hmm.
Hey Steve, you just got roll body, like you had Graham's internet service.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
Yeah, man, we got that new fiber line. It's fresh. It's running good over here.
My bad. My bad.
What they're saying is that if disparities persist, what evidence still counts? So what counts is explicit race-based decisions and disciplinary policies or practice, different treatment of similarly situated students of different races, email, text, or written policies that reveal discriminatory intent, witness testimony from student, staff, or families describing unequal treatment. yeah, that would make sense. All of that would. So should schools keep collecting discipline data? No.
But the slide says yes.
Yeah, no. Absolutely not. Like, what we doing that for? What for? I mean, listen, if you're in schools, and you really want to unpack data, you know who's coming to the office, you know who's sending them to the office, and you know the things that you need to do in order to prevent those things from occurring, especially if you start to see patterns, right? Like, what kind of tough conversations are you having with your staff in terms of the things that you see? And so, putting it on you, because I know that you've had to have these conversations or whatever, but when you start to see patterns, like, what are you doing to kind of intervene to make sure that everything's on the up and up?
Yeah, I mean, for us, I think those conversations happen in our intervention teams, our student culture teams, which are comprised of not just the deans and the APs, but the broader folks, our school counselors, other people who support teaching and learning and the social emotional well-being of our young people, to convene around problem solving, like actually putting together a team of people that have different perspectives on a student and making sure that they are being seen as a whole kid, a whole young person that needs a variety of different supports, not one size fits all. And we force ourselves as a school culture team to look at data, to set ambitious goals about the different subgroups of students in our school and the kinds of disciplinary outcomes that we've seen and how we want to improve on a trimester basis, on a quarterly basis, on an annual basis. And so we will continue to use this information as intended, because we know that despite our best efforts, those outcomes are real, and it's something that we even as a school that has it as top of mind, are subject to those same challenges, right? And so I just can't imagine a school that doesn't care about it or doesn't think about it in this way, kind of getting having this like requirement get them off the hook. So
yeah. So I had a conversation today with about 130 plus teachers, and
you just had to flex on me with a slightly larger number. Is that what you're doing?
you already know.
I had to multiply, G's experience by 10 because
the premise of the conversation though is like, hey, listen, we don't need you to come in with any kind of savior complex, right? And then I do some statistics. It's like our numbers rival 3 Village. You know the makeup of 3 Village, right? Like that's the school district right outside of Stony Brook with all of the doctors, lawyers, etc. that are in that area, very affluent. And our school's data beats out their school's data. And so we don't need you to come in with a savior complex about saving these kids because of the demographics of the students. We need you to come in with a high bar for these kids because they've already shown that they can meet expectations if you set them high. We got kids going to Ivy League schools. We don't need any kind of savior complexes here. And I think that it's important for us to start having those conversations from the beginning of the school year so that we don't have to worry about that overlap in terms of what can happen with implicit bias, as you was talking about earlier, Steve. So that's where we are, man. That's where we are.
And I wonder what kind of burden this starts to place, incremental burden this places on, like, not just the schools that care about this stuff, right? Now they have to sort of be like, they're doing this work because they choose to, not because they have to. And so that, as to your point, other schools who have the resources will do it. Schools that don't have the resources, even though they want to, probably won't end up doing it, right? Because it's a resource question. But then what this means to, schools that teach our future teachers and how they're teaching them around classroom discipline, right? With this data also helps to inform the practice of how we teach our teachers. And without this data, are we then setting up a future, generation of teachers without the information they need to enter those classrooms the best way to show up for the students they have in front of them?
All right, so we're about to do a show shift, right? Because I don't want to send y'all into y'all's weekend where like this heavy stuff and thinking about this, right? So we're about to do a shift. So I'm about to say 2 statements, and then y'all can decide what road y'all want to go down, right? So I'm putting the screen on me, so you don't have to have any disclaimers, right? And so the first statement is going to be, if less than 50% of your students are proficient at ELA or math, you should not be in Martha's Vineyard shaking your ass. You should be in your school doing the work. That's the first statement. Right? That's the first statement. The second statement is, had I known at my PWI that I could have opened the campus up to Mexico, Colombia, and all the drug trafficking areas that are in the United States, then I would be a millionaire right now. And so, so what direction I want to because yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, it's a little late in the summer for anybody be shaking their asses in Martha Vineyard. We should all be getting ready for the incoming school year, right? Like, can we just say that? Like, I don't mind you shaking your ass, but we in prep time right now. This is.
I mean, I'm with you. No, but so here's the thing, right? So like, I feel like, and me and a couple of colleagues are actually writing an article on this right now, in terms of who shows up to Martha's Vineyard. Because like a lot of times when we have folks that are showing up to these spaces and having policy conversations, it's like you're not thinking about the people that are not at the table, that are unable to like be a part of those types of conversations. And so who's there for them? Who's advocating for them? Because if you have your elite that are making these decisions, then oftentimes people that are marginalized are going to be left out of the conversation. That's my only caveat.
Yeah. I mean, if I didn't know you better, it sound like you're hating from outside the club, you know?
I've already been to the club.
Here's the name of the article they're writing.
I do security at the club.
The name of the article they're writing is "How Not to Be the David Adams of Education."
Well, yeah, listen, you know what? I received that feedback, right? Like, it felt like I was hating, and I was. Damn it.
But I mean,
I am hating, but that's okay too.
Yeah.
You know, I do. I think you bring up a good point about how where those conversations are being had, and which stakeholders are invited, and whose voices are received in those spaces, whose voices they want to receive, whose voices they want to center. And it's an interesting challenge, because I think on one hand, you know, the people who are going to Martha's Vineyard, it's mostly Black educators, Black practitioners, Black philanthropists, and they have a space for them that they are building and curating and creating space for collaboration, for maximum impact. And I think that's really powerful. And I think it's also very clear how inaccessible that space may be for certain groups, and the voices that might not be in those spaces are the same ones that need to be heard the loudest when thinking about like substantial ground up policy change, whether it's education or the impact of philanthropy or what have you.
Bro, perfect. I don't even have to talk about it no more, because you just summarized that in your brown Yale way, and I'm good with that.
He said it like somebody who checked the prices for the flights to Martha's Vineyard. It was like, nah, not me.
Bro, they almost had me in like in Paul's mouth, whatever the hell it was. I had to take a ferry in. It's like a 30-minute ferry in because everything was sold out. So I'm like, yeah, damn, I was outside of the club. I was outside of everything.
ain't no Forte helicopter that could have just taken us there.
Not yet.
Yo, but I tell you what though, it made me go into pre-planning mode, and so we about to have some talks offline in terms of how we can get this right next year because we will be in the club next year.
Maybe we need to start a New York version at Shelter Island, which is a little bit easier for us all to get to.
You know what? That's a good idea too, right? Because like, I mean, I'm a hop step away from the real elite. That Southern Fork is money right there. Yo, listen, hey, listen. If we're talking, let's talk. You know? Damn, man. But anyway, we got to talk about this Penn State thing, man. So, 14 college students or alumni or whatever, parts of fraternities that were just caught up in a drug trafficking ring, allegedly. Those young adults, because we can't call them kids, because when black kids do things, they're adultified. When white kids do things, they're infantized. So we're not going to do that. These young adults brought it upon themselves to want to be Pablo Escobar. And they were so a couple things for me, like, and I know we don't have much time, but like a couple of things that came to light for me is that one, Penn State needs to have a rehab facility on the campus.
I think they probably do.
Bro, because I mean, people like I don't look at cocaine as a recreational drug, bro. I look at that shit as a gateway to hell. So if you look at that cocaine like, oh boy, this is just a party drug, like, yeah, I don't want you around me or my kids.
What college students have money for that? That's a more expensive party drug. Like that's what wows me out. Like, it's not like they were trafficking in 40s of OE for $2.25 a bottle. This is like legit expensive.
2.25 a bottle, 40 ounces of OE. That shit'll leave you sterile. So there's all kind of ramifications for having to live that life. Oh, I don't want that. I don't want that.
Man.
All I'm saying is that's expensive. That's an expensive habit for a college student.
Habit, and then when you got your pledgees bagging it up as a rites of passage or whatever, I guess my thoughts are that if that was a divine non-organization, then if that was a black fraternity, a black member of the Divine Nine, then this would be a totally different conversation. And the way the media portrayal, it wouldn't be, oh, these poor kids, or oh, this or that, whatever. It wouldn't be any of that. It would be these gangsters, these drug dealers, and that's what these folks are. These folks are drug dealers. Like, let's call a spade a spade.
That's right.
Yeah. All right.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. My bad. Closing thoughts. Steve, we'll start with you.
Closing thoughts. Please, if you're going to go to the club, also go to work on the following Monday and prepare for your students coming to class. I have 2 young people who will start their schooling relatively soon, and I want their teachers and their administrators to be fresh and ready to receive them and not bleary-eyed and tired from window into the wall in it. You know what I mean?
Gee.
Oh man, that's funny. This summer in New York has felt kind of strange. It feels like every afternoon at about 5-6 o'clock, there's like a thunderstorm, like a really bad rainstorm, some kind of flash flooding. I don't love that. It makes me feel like I am in a place where I should be boarding up my windows on a regular basis, but global warming is real.
It's our payment. It's what we have to pay for Nixon 5, baby. I'll take the rain. Don't worry about
it. Nixon 5. My final thought is to the islanders in Puerto Rico, still having a water shortage there, and anything that we can do on our side in order to help folks in Puerto Rico, please do it. We'll provide some links on LinkedIn so that if you want to donate and do that, we can, because they're Americans and they deserve our support. All right, that's all I got. That's all we got. See you next week.